Hello and welcome to Sought Afters with Sonita. In this video, we'll be discussing good examples of dating from the Bible. You know, God is the author of marriage. He's the one who started marriage, and He's the best person to tell us how to enter into marriage. In order that we will not be confused, He captured how some people dated and put it in scriptures so that in every generation we should be able to go back to it and refer. Times may change, cultures may change, technology may change, but the examples and the principles from those stories can always apply to each and every generation. So join me as we dive into scriptures to check how did God's people of old, how did they date, how did they do it right, what can we pick from there so that we can also have it right in our own time. And you end up with a marriage that will give you fulfillment and give God glory. The very first couple I'm bringing to you are Ruth and Boaz. You can find their story in the Bible in Ruth chapter 2. The story of Ruth and Boaz is a romance between a young beautiful widow and a wealthy farmer. Boaz gets to meet Ruth in his farm, where she came to pick some grain for she and her mother-in-law Naomi. When Boaz sees Ruth from afar, he does not just go to her. In verse 5 of chapter 2, he said that Boaz asked the overseer of the harvest who Ruth is. So there's a principle here that I want us to note. Boaz gets interest in a young woman, and the first thing he does is research. He finds out. He asks the people around. Very important. You do your research like Boaz did. Boaz did his research. He asked people around. He did not just jump into her. He wanted to know, who is this young lady? So that's a great way to date. It's somebody you've just met. You don't yet know the person. You don't need to just go forward and start a relationship with the person. Ask questions about the person. Ask questions from those that have been observing the person before you came. It is very thrilling, the kind of reply that the overseers give about Ruth. He described how that she's a young widow and she's a Moabite, and that ever since she came to this farm since morning, she has been working. She has been on her feet, working non-stop. There was a report of being hard working. So this makes me think, if somebody asks of you from the people around you, what report will they give of you? Will it be a report that you're a lazy person, or will it be a report that you are a hard-working person? So you don't live anyhow and only trying to put on a good face in front of somebody that you think is a potential suitor. From that good report that Boaz received, he goes ahead to give instruction on how they should treat Ruth well, they should handle her with care, they should protect her. You can read Ruth too, you see all this juicy information. They should protect her. They should make sure that they should even leave behind some grains for her to pick. You see, he is being generous. By the time we reach verse 14, you see that the friendship between them has already grown to an extent that he has invited her to come and sit and eat together with him. He is sharing his meal with her. He is giving her more grains than she deserves. That is generosity. That is one key thing in dating that you want to see in somebody that you're dating. So it's also giving Ruth the opportunity to see his own character, and he's showing good character towards her. He's being kind, he's being protective. He's already showing signs that this one will make a good husband. And he has also received information about Ruth, which can make him feel free that, okay, if it is about marriage, yeah, this one is a hardworking woman. She'll be able to partner with me well in taking care of this my estate. Talking about being hardworking, I want us to move to Genesis chapter 24, where we meet another very hardworking woman. This brings us to Isaac and Rebekah. You'll see how that Abraham sent his servant to go and look for a wife for his son Isaac. One key thing that stands out is the prayer that Abraham prayed. From Genesis 24, from verse 12 to verse 14, he sought God's face. He prayed. He did not just go and stand and he was looking at the young lady, so that anyone that catches my eye, I'll choose for my master's son. No, he prayed. He sought for divine direction. And that is one key thing we must pick and apply to our dating of today. We ought to always pray. Man ought to always pray and not faint. I said it before, that dating is a watch and pray process. While he was watching them coming, he prayed. And if you look at the prayer, it is all a prayer of character. Because he said, let the woman offer to give me water, and let her also offer to feed my camels. So, in other words, he prayed that let the woman be generous and let her also be hard working, because it takes generosity to offer, not only to give the water you have struggled to draw from a well to a stranger, and then you also offer again to water his camels. That means you keep going and getting more water and coming to water the camels. And more to that, it takes energy. It takes a woman that is hardworking. So in the process of dating, you pray, you seek God's face. Before you want to even move on to propose to somebody, or you want to move on to say yes to somebody, you should be able to pray to God and also receive God's response. You know, this servant did not just pray and then go ahead to be doing his thing. He prayed and then he waited. He received divine direction. He saw how God answered his prayer before he went ahead to make his move towards her. So we should be able to pray and receive God's response before you move forward. One of the most romantic love relationships in the Bible is found in Genesis 29. That is Jacob and Rachel. Their love story starts when Jacob goes to live with his uncle Laban, Rachel's father. It is very clear that on arrival to that country, the first person from that household that Jacob met was Rachel. And after staying there for 1 month, he grew in love with her, to the point that when Jacob's uncle asked to pay him, he himself said he wants to work for 7 good years in order to get Rachel as wife. This is a very good example of dating in purity. Circumstances put them in the same place. Jacob was living with Rachel's father, working for Rachel's father, and so had to be seeing Rachel like on a daily basis, madly in love with her, but had to wait 7 years before having anything physical to do with her. I think God recorded this in scriptures for us to see that He has put in us humans that ability to wait. If Jacob could wait 7 years before touching Rachel sexually, you can wait for that amount of time that it will take for you to be able to cultivate a good friendship, get to know the person well before you ever get to touch them. These are very good examples of people who dated well in scriptures and married well. They fulfilled the purposes of God in their time. And all of these couples that I mentioned are partakers of how Christ came to the earth, finally through Joseph and Mary, who also dated purely, because by the time the angel came to tell Mary about the supernatural pregnancy of Jesus, she was still a virgin. And mind you, she was not only dating, she was already engaged. That is to say that she had already even passed the dating phase, still a virgin, got engaged, still a virgin. And you notice that when Joseph discovered, he was thinking of putting her away quietly, not in a disgraceful way. Which just goes further to show that relationships, that a friendship is stronger than a sensuality. There is a lot of understanding. Even in breaking up, there was still love in the attitude before God stopped him though. So these principles just show us that people have been dating before. We should not act like it is in this our generation that dating starts. People have been dating before. People have been looking for life partners before. And God has been giving them the grace to do it right. And God can give you that grace now to also do it right. Get a right marriage. Let me also know in the comment section another Bible character that you know that dated well.